Hello again, Lucky Speaks. So, America. A few things have happened over there the last couple of days that I wanted to touch on. First one's a funny, really. I mean, it's just, big Mike Obama. I'm not sure if anybody else thinks like this, but, there's obviously a lot, even more and more coming out about this. That big Mike Obama, Michelle Obama, is actually really a transition fella. Now, we've all seen the dodgy video of her dancing about and having something moving in her pants, look like a shark. And anyway, she's launched a podcast. She was on an interview the other day talking with Marlon, what's his name? The fella that does the whole family, all the boys do the films. Wayans, Marlon Wayans. And she's chatting there and she's talking about transitioning as a black man. So is she admitting something? Is she saying what's already happened to her? Or is she transitioning back? Or I don't quite get it. But anyway, Michelle Obama, obviously she's modelled now for Disney recently. They got their Predator movie coming out. She did the modelling apparently. They modelled the Predator on her. It's just about as ugly. So Michelle Obama, not on my favourite list. But the other thing that's come out in America, okay, is that I've said about this before, is in Texas there's a young chap lost his life, unfortunately. He had a row with a chap in a sports day event, and this fella stabbed him. He'd been asked to leave the tent. He was on a different team or a different school or whatever, and so this chap who had a twin brother there, he went over and he said, can you move and all that. He may have got heated. Nobody knows yet. We haven't seen the footage, but the upshot of it was that this young black kiddie took offence, and rather than have a row or maybe punch the guy or whatever, but no, he decided to pull a knife out of his bag, put it in the young chap's chest, and that chap's passed away. So the guy who did it is obviously he's been charged. He's going to go to trial for murder or manslaughter, whichever. And just ridiculous that the lawyer representing this guy is saying it was self-defense. He's going to claim it was self-defense. I mean, he went to a school sports day. He carried a knife in his bag. He went to an opposing team. It's a bit like, if you Bristol City and Bristol Rovers fans in this part of the world, you wouldn't sit in the same end of the ground because there's going to be trouble. The gas people are going to beat up the City people, or vice versa, whatever it is. I don't know because I don't support either of them. But this kid went into the wrong tent, sat down purposely to aggravate the situation, most likely. And once he'd aggravated this chap she went over, and apparently he did sort of started, you don't want to try and push me, sort of thing. And the kid said, look, no, you got to go. And that was it, wallop, he was done. And they're trying to claim it's self-defense. And then they had a press conference a little while ago, about a week or so ago, and already the dad of the kid that passed away had already come out and said he forgives the chap for what he did. He said it was obviously spur of a moment. I forgive him, sort of thing. I'm not going to hold a grudge against him, which I think is, well, I mean, I'm not entirely sure all of us could do that. But he sort of seems to have been able to put to one side the malice, and he came out and he said, let's make it, it is what it is. It's not a race thing. It was nothing to do with their race. It was all to do with just the row they had, which could have happened between two white kids, two black kids, two Asian kids, whatever. No, a nice, sensible way of doing it, trying to defuse the situation, really. And this dad had learnt there was a press conference for, I think his name's Carmelo or something like that, Carmelo or Carmel Anthony or something like that. Anyway, they're having a press conference, his lawyer's there. So this chap went along to watch the press conference. He didn't say anything, he didn't do anything, he just turned up at the conference and was watching. And the police threw him out, made him leave, wouldn't let him watch it. And afterwards, the lawyer for this kid who'd stabbed this guy's son and killed him, who's claiming self-defense, and oh, well, his self-defense, this Austin Metcalf who was unalived. Yeah, he should have walked away. He could have shown a bit of respect and walked away. And he turned around and he said, the dad was disrespectful because he'd walked away. What? The dad being disrespectful? Sorry, mate, you're just blowing your own argument out of the bloody water. What do you want? Honestly, if that lawyer is defending you, you're in trouble, kid. Seriously. The only thing he's going to save him is obviously that that BLM are going to turn up and they're going to go berserk and they're going to start trying to burn cities down probably. And that may affect the outcome of the case. Not because they should, but because they will. Because they'll just jump on a bandwagon, anything for a row, anything for a riot. They love all that sort of stuff. They don't give a shit about the kid, really. They don't give a shit about their own communities. They just want to have a row. They want to have a fight. They want to push their agenda on people. I mean, it's BLM. They got millions. All it was is a massive grift. BLM, a massive grift. You had 3 proven terrorists ran BLM. The 3 of them were actually domestic terrorists, convicted. 2 of them, as far as I'm aware. 3rd was suspected. Long before they fought BLM, and basically it was a grift in order to get themselves money and mansions, and they did that. They got all this stuff. They got all the money. They guilt tripped the corporations in America and all across the world eventually. But Nike and Boots and everybody else, oh, we're BLM. Oh yeah. Give them money and all this bullshit. They didn't spend a penny of that money on any of those communities they supposedly looked after. It was all bollocks. Absolute crap. All they did it for was notoriety. Get themselves cash. Get their families cash. That's all it was for. And if they get involved with this Karmelo kid, they'll just do it for their own money. They'll do it for notoriety. They'll do it to have a row. There's plenty of people, youngsters, that like to go out and have a row and they see an opportunity to go and have a riot. Great stuff. In London, didn't we? A few years ago, they all rioted in central London, broke into a sports shop. They were upset about things, so they went in. Nicking trainers apparently sorts that out, or nicking a telly sorts it out. It makes you feel a hell of a lot better about injustice. If you're oppressed, first thing you think about is, you don't think, oh, what I'll do, I'll do what Martin Luther King done and try and change things and help everybody. I'll find a way to get my message across that people understand. No. What you do, you go and nick a telly off someone. That's the way you get around it, because it makes you feel better. Because once you get that telly home, you forget all about your oppression. You'll never be oppressed again because you've got a nice new telly. Fucking ridiculous. Absolute fucking joke. I mean, they're still taking a knee. In the football, they take the knee at the beginning of every game. What utter bollocks. Utter shite. You don't bend the knee to anybody. What was that for? Why? Why would you do it? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I think the world became more racist when BLM came about than it had been for years before. Years and years. Much more racist. And now, I mean, if you're not racist like I'm not racist, but I feel myself checking what I'm saying to people to make sure I'm not perceived as saying it with a racist bias. You're constantly having to check yourself. It's like, no, you should be able to have a conversation with people. It shouldn't even be thought that anybody would take offence at something, because normal people don't mean offence. Normal people just get on. And even if you have a row, you have a row, so what? But not everything's got a racial bias to it. It's getting ridiculous. The world is absolutely ridiculous. Bloody George Floyd, they made him a martyr. He's a fucking criminal. He's a drug dealer. He murdered an unborn kid in someone's belly when he kicked a pregnant lady in the belly during a robbery. Killed the baby. But he's a saint. He's a saint, apparently. I mean, he died of a drug overdose. He didn't die of anything else. Derek Chauvin never killed him. The original coroner, who they refused to accept his findings, said that he died of a heart attack brought on by ingesting the drugs he was trying to hide from the cops. That's the calibre your hero, on the left-hand side. You're all fucking nuts. You're all nuts. The left wing is nuts. They support things that just anybody with common sense would never even dream of supporting. It's just all bullshit these days. It just really is. The universities are full of these Marxist fucking idiots that don't know what they're doing. They never done a day's work in their life. Don't know what it is to earn any living. Telling you how to spend your money and what not to spend it on and who to support and who not to support. Bullshitters. The Labour Party in this country, driving the country into the ground. I mean, he's just an idiot, isn't he? I mean, Keir Starmer. I mean, I can't even listen to the bloke's voice. He just sounds like a moron. I mean, if you were at a party and he was talking, would you go anywhere near him? I mean, he just sounds like an idiot. He sounds like an absolute moron. And he's got all the intelligence of a sausage sandwich. He's absolutely ridiculous. He's just pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. He ain't got a clue what's going on. He's got all his MPs running around saying the wrong things, actually saying racist things. I mean, they are being bloody racist. Then they're frightened enough to upset certain races, certain people. I don't know why. Well, we do know why. It's because they get the votes from those people in those places. They don't want to lose the votes. They'd rather little girls were attacked and let them get on with it than actually do anything about it. Police are no better. The police turn a blind eye. Tell you what, drive down the street a little bit too quick, go to 35 and a 30. See how quick they pull you over. Tell you what though, go to Streatham in London, walk around with a machete, you'll probably not get even looked at. Probably even get looked at. And if you are, it'll be, oh, excuse me, would you mind putting it away? You couldn't leave that in the mosque, could you? That'd be really nice if you could leave that in the mosque. You don't really want to be carrying that on the street, do you? If I was carrying a bloody thing, you imagine they'd have me on my face, beating the crap out of me, get out my hand, lock me up for 20 years, carrying a bleeding, a butcher's knife. Unbelievable. It's ridiculous. It is two-tier. You can't deny it's happening because it is happening. It's obvious that it's happening. Being reported on every single day. That's why Reform won all their votes here today. Everybody is starting to vote for Reform. What scares me is that people have got to stay true to those beliefs, because saying you're going to vote for them and then doing it sometimes is two different things, because people think, oh, it might be wasted, oh, it's such a big election, maybe I'll stick with the original people, or I'll stick with the original two parties. Oh, I don't know if they'll get in. Well, they can get in. They've just demonstrated it. People take that as your confidence. They said they were going to make a difference. They made a difference. They knocked 7 tons of shit out of Labour. The Conservatives are finished. The Conservative vote disintegrated, isn't it? Let's face it. Accept it. Reform are now probably our best bet. They ain't perfect, but then none of them's perfect. They're a little bit more, they're closer to perfect than the rest of the buggers. At least, if they're not perfect, at least they're thinking of Britain. They're thinking of us. They're thinking of how we live here. They're not thinking about the invaders. They're not thinking about people coming here for free, taking all, getting everything for nothing, coming across on a boat. They're thinking about British people first, everyone else second. And that's exactly how it should be. It's what Trump is doing in America. He thinks of America first, and everyone else comes second. No excuses. He don't ask for any excuses to be made. That's what his policy is. He looks after America. If America's okay, then he worries about everybody else afterwards. Exactly how it should be. The Americans voted him in. They deserve his attention. That's who he owes his votes to. So that's who he has to look after. And that's who we should all look after. We should worry about this country first, I'm afraid. Look after ourselves first. The ones that come afterwards, okay, great. Never try and hurt anybody. You never ever want anybody getting hurt, ever. Not in any way, shape or form. But they've got to come second. They've got to be a consideration after the necessary needs of the British people. They've got to be. Because it doesn't make sense otherwise. the world won't make sense. And the world's run, human race has run for thousands of years the way we did up until 10, 15 years ago, which is basically looking after ourselves first and worry about the rest afterwards. And the world kind of got on with it. Yes, you've got poor countries, you've got rich countries, so what? You're always going to have that. Nothing's going to change that. It might change who is rich in those countries. It ain't going to change the fact they are. But you've got to have the ability to live the way that you want to live. And British culture is one way, American culture is another, French culture is another way, German culture is different again. They've all got their nuances, and those countries have got to be allowed to enjoy those nuances. It shouldn't offend people that you want to live as you've always lived. I mean, it doesn't offend me that Muslims want to live like Muslims. It only surprises me they want to do it here, because the country's not set up for it. There are places in the world that are far better suited that they could go to quite happily. The question mark is, Muslim countries don't tend to want these Muslim immigrants. Now, what do they know that we supposedly don't know? And I say supposedly because I think we all know why they don't want them. But if they're such great, they're all future doctors and scientists, everything else, don't their own countries want them? Don't their own countries want those doctors and scientists? Is there a reason they've got to come somewhere else to practice? At what point are they going to start demonstrating that they can practice other things? I mean, because not many of them are showing, the illegal. I'm talking about the illegals now, not legal immigration. Legal immigration is encouraged, because at least we're able to pick and choose who comes in, who gets let in. They come in for genuine reasons. They generally come in with a plan of how they're going to benefit the country as much as, like, if I want to emigrate to America, I'm going to go when I can offer something to America, when I'm self-supportive and don't need any help. I can go over and maybe have a business and actually generate some income over there for other people. When I'm a benefit to America, I might expect America to let me in. While I'm ill and I can't do any of that sort of stuff, well, why would they let me in? I wouldn't even ask them to. I don't want to be a burden. People shouldn't come here to want to be a burden. People should want to come here for the opportunities. And you can't tell me you're coming for opportunities if you get off the boat and go on benefits and never come off benefits. Your plan should be get off the boat, find somewhere to live, get a job, pay your rent, pay your way. And if it means you've got 50 pence left over at the end of the week, well, then you've got 50 pence left over at the end of the week. Tough shit. Same as if I only had 50 pence left over at the end of the week, nobody go bat an eyelid for me. So there we go. Anyway, that's the week this week. America's problems, which Donald Trump is actually getting some ways towards doing and dealing with. I'm sure it will continue to go that way, and he's going to do a good job. JD Vance will follow him up. And in Britain, we're in a state of flux, aren't we? We're in a real bad way. And until we do something about it, someone's got to be brave enough to stand up there and actually say it. And hope they don't get locked up for saying it, because obviously that's the problem. Whatever you say, you've got to be careful. Little old me sitting here doing this, talking to next to nobody. But you're at risk. You're putting yourself above the parapet. Not necessarily where you want to be, but someone's got to say something. Maybe someone will catch on then. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you listened to some of it. And like, share, subscribe if you do. Thanks very much.